The conventional thinking that with aging everything is downhill. Most people believe that as you grow older, your memory will fade and that you will eventually develop Alzheimer's disease. However, that is absolutely wrong. Hundreds of research studies, including my own 35 years of research, mostly at Johns Hopkins and Harvard Medical School, have shown that you can indeed slow and even reverse some parts of aging in your brain. In fact, you can become sharper at any age, in part by growing your brain. As a neurologist with expertise in the field of memory and Alzheimer's disease, I have seen thousands of patients with various degrees of cognitive decline. Based on my clinical research experiences, I have put together a 12-week brain rehabilitation program, which has been quite successful for treating these patients. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Carol. She was in her 70s and has significant memory loss, confusion, and depression, as well as diabetes, sleep apnea, hypertension, and back pain. She was taking 20 different medications and spent most of her time being sedated in front of television. Her sister brought her to see me in order for me to make a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease so that she can sell her house on her behalf and pay for the cost of her nursing home. Carol completed her program and recovered significantly. She became a totally new person. Before I give you the details of her recovery, I would like to share with you how I came up to develop this program, which is based on the principles of neuroplasticity, and you can complete by yourself. When I was a little boy in Iran, my father always talked to me about how there is no limit in what our brain can do. He told me the story of a young girl who was born without arms and had learned to make the most beautiful paintings with holding a paintbrush in between her toes and make these beautiful paintings. He also told me that most scientists and leaders in the world were once regular kids like me, who then went on to reach their goals and dreams with hard work and determination. Inspired by my father's teachings, I went on to receive my doctoral degree in neuroscience from Johns Hopkins and my medical degree from Harvard Medical School. When I started my career as an assistant professor of neurology at Johns Hopkins, I focused my research and publications on the power of neuroplasticity in the human brain. I wanted to learn how is it that our brain, the very organ that makes us who we are, can change so much, and more importantly, how we can take advantage of our brain's malleability to improve our cognitive functions. I decided to concentrate on two brain areas with the highest degree of malleability, namely cortex and hippocampus. Cortex is a thick layer of cells which, like a blanket, covers all other brain areas. Cortex is important for all your higher brain functions, such as reading, writing, typing, driving, painting, and figuring out how to be successful at school or at work. Cortex is also the part of the brain that becomes thicker and bigger when you get better at something, like playing the piano or juggling balls, with practicing it over and over again. Practice makes cortex. Another brain area with a high degree of malleability and neuroplasticity is hippocampus, which is the size of your thumb. You have one hippocampus on the left and one on the right. Hippocampus is the ground zero for learning and memory. You use your hippocampus when you memorize names or when you learn a new language. This is my favorite brain area because it has kept its ability to grow new neurons at any age, even late in life. When it comes to cortex and hippocampus, there are some good news and there's some bad news. Let me give you the bad news first. Cortex and hippocampus shrink by about 0.5% per year after age 50, or about 5% every 10 years. However, this shrinkage does not happen at the same level to everyone. Some people have only mild atrophy in their brain size, and as a result have only mild cognitive decline as they grow older. However, others have profound atrophy and lose their marbles in their 60s and 70s. It turns out that the rate of this decline, which can begin even in your 20s, depends to a large degree on your lifestyle choices and your habits. For example, one study showed that college students who played football and experienced concussions develop much smaller hippocampus than students who don't. This is a graph from that study that shows the average size of hippocampus in 3 groups of students. Those who did not play football, labeled as group A. Those who played football but did not have concussions, labeled group B. And those who played football and had concussions, labeled group C. I would like you to look at these images and tell me which group had a smaller hippocampus, group A or group C. You're right. Students who had concussion had a hippocampus which was almost half the size of those in students who did not play football. The longer students played football and the more concussions they have, the smaller was their hippocampus. So it's no wonder that professional players who played football for many years and experienced many concussions are up to 4 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's disease later in life. Concussion is one of many factors that can shrink the cortex and hippocampus with aging. Other factors in this include sedentary lifestyle, stress and anxiety on a daily basis, untreated depression, sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night, obesity and eating a poor diet, untreated sleep apnea, excessive consumption of alcohol or smoking, and having frequent concussions. Each of these factors can shrink the cortex and hippocampus in a dose-dependent manner. For example, the more years you have insomnia and the more severe it is, the worse will be the shrinkage in these brain areas, and the higher will be the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. These same factors also increase the risk of developing strokes. Unfortunately, these conditions are very common, and as a result, stroke is the #1 cause of disability in the United States and the 2nd leading cause of death in the world. I have one more bad news for you. The negative effects of these risk factors on the brain are cumulative. So if you have only 1 or 2 risk factors, there may not be significant atrophy in the brain, and you may have a low risk of developing a stroke or Alzheimer's disease. However, if you have 9 or 10 risk factors, your brain will shrink and you will have a high risk of developing a stroke and or Alzheimer's disease. This is a picture of my family from about 10 years ago. When my daughters were young, they became experts in the field of memory and Alzheimer's disease by coming to many of my lectures. I remember one day I was talking to my daughter Maya, standing on the right side of this picture, when she was in 2nd grade. I told her, honey, your book review is due in 2 days and you have not even started reading it. She said, Dad, you're stressing me out and that's not good for my hippocampus. Now that I've told you all the bad news about these brain structures, let me share with you some good news. Both cortex and hippocampus have a high degree of neuroplasticity and can grow and expand their volume as easy as they can shrink. For example, one study showed that 3 months of vigorous exercise can grow the size of the hippocampus in young participants. You can see one of the diagrams in this paper which shows the size of the hippocampus in the participant before and after 3 months of vigorous exercise. I would like you to look at these images and tell me which hippocampus is bigger, the one before exercise or the one after exercise in this participant. You're right. Exercise has resulted in significant growth in the size of his hippocampus to such a high degree that we can see with naked eyes. I find this amazing. This is not his biceps we're talking, this is his hippocampus, the ground zero for learning and memory. You do not need to exercise vigorously to grow your hippocampus or your cortex. Even walking 1 mile a day can expand these brain structures, and research studies have shown that walking briskly for 1 hour a day can reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease by 57%. Sometimes my students at Harvard, Hopkins, or George Washington University ask me what they can do to improve their scores on their exams other than studying a lot. And I tell them, exercise. Exercise increases the number of blood vessels in the brain, increases blood flow to the brain, increases levels of B, D, and F, which is like a miracle grow for the brain, and increases the number of new neurons in the hippocampus. So exercise is one of the best things you could do to grow these brain structures. What are other things you could do? Learning something new every day increases the number of synapses and connection between neurons to grow your brain and make you sharper. Eating a Mediterranean diet provides the right nutrients for your neurons to grow and thrive. Sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night helps with the rinsing and cleansing process that happens during deep sleep and provides a fresh and clean environment for neurons to grow and thrive. Stressing less reduces levels of cortisol, which are toxic for neurons. Meditating 10 minutes a day can also reduce levels of cortisol, but also improve blood flow to the brain. Finally, having a positive attitude and a sense of purpose in life is associated with a bigger brain reserve. Though we don't know the exact mechanisms involved, we do know that people who have a sense of purpose in life and pursue their passions can harbor some degree of Alzheimer's disease in their brain and have no symptoms. Yes, it is possible to have Alzheimer's pathology in your brain and have no symptoms if your brain is healthy and strong otherwise. These interventions are simple but powerful. 40% of dementia cases in the world can be prevented by addressing the modifiable risk factors which affect the biology of the brain and the size of the cortex and hippocampus. These concepts are now well accepted, and CDC has incorporated them in their website, in their educational material. When I was reviewing these discoveries in the literature, I wondered if individual risk factors can increase the size of your cortex and hippocampus and make you sharper, wouldn't combining them into a comprehensive program produce better results in a shorter time? To test this hypothesis, I developed a brain fitness program. I first provided this program for my elderly patients with mild cognitive impairment. During my first visit with them, I would talk to them for 1 hour to learn about all their positive and negative risk factors for brain growth and brain functions. I would then design a personalized set of interventions to address their specific issues, such as anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep apnea, diabetes, or obesity. I also trained a group of brain coaches who served as enthusiastic cheerleaders to help my patients improve their lifestyle choices. My brain coaches work with my patients to help them exercise about 3 hours a week and getting fit, eating a heart-healthy Mediterranean diet, perform brain exercises such as memorizing a list of 100 words, sleeping 7 to 8 hours on a regular basis, and meditating for 10 to 15 minutes every day. My brain coaches praise our patients when they improve and monitor their progress on a weekly basis. The results of this program were much better than I had expected. Let me tell you about Carol. When she started our program, she had such severe memory loss that she would confuse the names of her grandchildren. I first addressed her medication and reduced them as much as possible and treated her sleep apnea. With these interventions, she became more alert and awake and started to work with our brain coaches. Soon, she started to walk every day and enjoyed her brain games. After 12 weeks, she was a new person. She was happier and more energetic. She was surprised that she had memorized a list of 100 words. She joined many groups in church and decided to look for a job. Her cognitive testing showed that she had objective improvements in her memory and many other cognitive domains. Her brain MRI before she started her program showed significant atrophy in the cortex on top and her hippocampus. After 12 weeks of our program, her brain looked like someone who was about 10 years younger. She continued the lifestyle choices that she had learned in the program, and 1 year later, when we obtained an MRI, we saw that her hippocampus had grown yet 1 more percent. We provided this program for 127 other elderly patients with mild cognitive impairment, and we saw that 84% of them significant improvement in their objective cognitive tests, and they became sharper. Many of them had improved the biology of the brain, and their brain MRI looked like someone who was about 6 years younger. I published these results in the Journal of Prevention of Alzheimer's Disease, and this report was later featured in a 4-page article in Time magazine. I then provided this program for younger patients who had ADHD, memory loss, or persistent concussion symptoms. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Mark. He was in his 40s and was a brilliant science engineer at NASA. Unfortunately, he had a concussion and for months was not able to concentrate or even work part-time. He completed our program and had almost full recovery. He went back to work full-time and did quite well. Several months later, he received one of the highest awards in NASA for his exceptional achievements. I provided this program for 223 other patients with ADHD, memory loss, or persistent concussion symptoms, and saw that more than 80% of them became sharper and improved their scores on cognitive tests. I published these results in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease Reports. In summary, with aging, many factors shrink cortex and hippocampus and increase your risk for developing stroke and Alzheimer's disease. These factors include sedentary lifestyle, persistent stress and anxiety, untreated depression, insomnia, obesity and eating a poor diet, sleep apnea, excessive consumption of alcohol, smoking, and frequent concussions. Fortunately, you can reverse many of these processes and grow your brain by exercising about 3 hours a week and getting fit, learning new things every day, eating a Mediterranean diet, sleeping 7 to 8 hours every night, stressing less, meditating for 10 to 15 minutes a day, and having a sense of purpose in life. When you incorporate these factors in your daily life, your brain functions will improve, and as a result, you will have better lifestyle choices. For example, when your brain functions improve, you decide to eat better and exercise more. When you eat better and exercise more, your brain functions improve further, and you become more organized. When you're more organized, you're less stressed and you have time to meditate. When you meditate and feel better, you sleep better, and your brain functions improve. And as a result, you make better decisions, such as socializing or taking dance lessons, which in turn improve your brain functions further. This positive feedback loop allows you to become sharper with every decade of your life. Having studied the brain for 35 years, I now firmly believe that you can grow a beautiful and brilliant brain at any age. By taking on healthy lifestyle habits and making them into recurrent habits, you can improve the biology of the brain and grow the size of your cortex and hippocampus. And these are the best interventions for successful aging.